So you have about $150,000 in the bank. Is that too much cash to have on hand? We'll try to explore that answer with Ryan coming up. Welcome in. This is Perfect Game Retirement. Ben George with Ryan Ledden. And today we've got a question that came in that we thought would be worth answering here, Ryan. It's a good one, and it's dealing with cash and how much you need to have saved. Everybody has a different level of comfort with risk and how conservative they want to be. So this is a good question, but I want to ask it first and we'll dig into it a little bit. So my brother tells me that I have way too much money in the bank, and he's probably right. It's about $150,000 now, but I just like knowing that it's there in case I have an emergency. Is that really so bad? So I like this one, Ryan, because again, everybody has a different level of risk. You want to be prepared for emergencies, and it's always your brother that's usually telling you what to do, right?
Yeah, it's either brother or brother-in-law or my cousin or something like that. Having around the holiday season, post-holiday season, people getting together and having conversations about stuff like that. So, yeah, brother saying he's got too much cash. I'd love to know what that brother does for a living.
So let's dig into it a little bit then, because 150,000, that number, could be right, could be great, maybe not. But let's dive into the kind of building that fund and kind of knowing how much cash is there. So if someone came into your office with 150,000 in cash, how would you kind of evaluate their situation and assess, whether or not they do have too much cash?
Yeah. So first thing I would do is be like, okay, where is that? Where is that money? Where is that cash? Is it doing something for you? Like we've talked about before in previous shows, like, because of interest rates still being higher than they were, pre 2022. Before then, you couldn't earn hardly anything on cash. It was just sitting there doing nothing. So maybe people would have too much money sitting in cash doing nothing. And so then they would invest it. And, the last several years have been pretty good from a market perspective, except for, 2022 is the only kind of roadblock year before interest rates started going up. But where's your 150? What is it doing? Is it earning something? So if money is just sitting there, which it has a purpose, not every dollar needs to be invested in the stock market. Trust me, I'm a stock market guy, but at the same time, every dollar has a different purpose when it comes to your financial plan. So $150,000, let me see it. Where is it at? Is it at, I'll name a few large institutional banks, nameless, but there are still two big banks out there that don't pay anything. It's basically highway robbery, but they don't pay anything on savings accounts or the quote unquote high yield savings accounts. So go online, look at bankrate.com, look for some of the best high yield savings, look for the best money market accounts, look for even maybe CDs that are kind of short term. You can ladder those out if you want to. That way you still have access to some cash at some time. But what are you earning? What is that rate? You can shop that around. Again, we use institutions that have money market mutual funds that can be liquid in a day or two. Those pay a little bit higher usually. So make sure you're earning something on that money. Make sure it's doing something. Yes, you have to pay tax on it. It's interest income, so you have to pay tax on it. But don't let that shy you away from earning money that's just sitting there. Oh, I got to pay tax on it. Don't do that. Don't try to save $1 just to not have to pay 30 cents in taxes. That makes no sense whatsoever. So earn that money on that. So there's a lot of other factors involved, but 150 is a relative term. We had previous show, the whole comparison trap, compared to this, compared to that. I mean, it's different for everyone. Your job security, your income levels. I mean, there's so many different factors involved that could change if that 150 is a good amount or too much.
Yeah, and I think, to me, hearing you kind of break down on where that cash, what is that cash, right? Because to your point, I got an email the other day from a pretty big bank that's promoting their their savings account. They're like I forgot it was is like their power saving, some fun marketing name, right? That made it seem like you're really growing your money, and open it up and it was a 0.5% interest. And I was like, how are companies even still promoting that low of a rate on a savings account that they think is a great tool for somebody? But to your point, that's pretty common with some big banks right now. So I guess, to this question, if you got 150,000 and it's earning 0.5%, then you probably do have too much, right?
Yes, exactly right. You probably do have too much. And I even read an article. Now, this is a bad comparison, but we were looking. It was looking at Nvidia and how much cash they're sitting on. It was just insane amounts. But where they're investing in other companies because they have too much cash sitting on the sidelines. Like, oh, I would love to have that problem, having too much cash, not knowing what to do with it. But so yeah, if you're earning nothing, then yeah. But the interest rate environment we were in before, you didn't have a whole lot of options. You could try to maybe do a CD that was 4-year CD and maybe earning 2 to 3%. Well, now you can get that on money that you can have like the next day. So, and it also depends on what stage of life you're in. It depends on, again, your job security. It depends on so many different factors. And then, like, if you're in retirement, I'm a big believer in having almost a year's worth of an emergency fund set aside. Now we hear 3 to 6 months. All the pundits out there say 3 to 6 months is 3 to 6 months, of expenses, which yeah, I'm okay with. But I think, I mean, that number needs to continue to move up. Maybe you have $30,000 or $40,000 sitting in a savings account. Well, over time, like, you need to continue to beef that up because inflation is going to continue to chew that up. So I've had some clients that have had $30,000, $40,000 sitting in there, and we've been working with them for a long period of time, and that number really hasn't changed. I'm like, well, that $30,000 or $40,000 is not going to go anywhere as far. So 150 is a relative term. I do think that that amount needs to be larger, based off the stage of life you're in. Again, I got young kids, so I got a freshman and a sixth grader. So their expensive years have yet to happen for me.
Scary.
Yeah, I know. Everybody complains about when kids are real little. Oh, I got diapers and all that. I'm like, shoot, I'd love to be paying for diapers. As far as from a cost perspective, not to have a young child again at that stage, but um, you know, continue to have more and more cash on hand. I think it's a very important thing. And again, going back to start market volatility, if you're in retirement and there's a pullback in the market and you have this large sum of money sitting there in cash just chugging along earning some interest, well, you may not have to pull money out of the investments as much. You can pull it out of the safe cash, and then eventually the stock market will recover. It will. I'm confident in it. It will recover, and then you can start going back, maybe reallocate some things and beef up that emergency fund when the stock market does recover. So it's a constant balancing act as you go through your different stages of life.
Yeah, it is a balancing act. And again, it's why you work with an advisor to make sure that you are saving the right amount, right? And maybe not over saving to this point. Just generally speaking, Ryan, again, what is the kind of the general guidance you give in terms of an emergency fund? Because this 150,000 could be, 3 months expenses for somebody potentially, or it could be 6 months. 6 months.
Yeah, so that, again, it's relative. It depends on what that family's where that stage is at. Again, going back to kind of the stage of life where we're in, Ben, where our kids have expensive years coming up. I mean, I got one that will be 16 later this year, so I got to start factoring that in. Then, I got a son that's 3 years after that, so daughter would be hitting college soon, and then he'll be getting a car. So it's like you kind of get through one stage with one, and then the other one's kind of picking back up right where you left off. At least that's the spacing of our kids. So, and then running a business as well. I mean, employees, people that I pay salary to. So I like having even a larger one. I have almost 2 years worth just kind of sitting there, again, earning interest. But that's kind of how I am. I'm risk adverse. Like, I mean, not risk. I can take on risk as much as I want to, but then I got to compartmentalize. I got to look at some of that money and go, you know what? Oh man, I wish I'd have done this, or I wish I'd done that. I got to know that, hey, this dollar has it's got a certain meaning behind it and a purpose behind it on what it's doing. So having $150,000, and sometimes it could be as easy as, how much do you want to just? Some people have a number where it's just they don't want to see it go below six six figures. Maybe it's $100,000, and like, that's where I want to keep it at. Maybe there's not a math component to that. That's just what they want to have. Or maybe it's even more than that. Maybe they want to go to 250 for FDIC insurance, and then they're good. I think that's a lot, but again, that's all relative. It depends on your lifestyle and how much you want to have just sitting there. Now, if you had $250,000 in the savings account and like 10,000 in investments, I'll say that's a problem. You need to start moving some of that money around for more long-term dollars. So it's all relative, but having a plan, how much do you have invested? How much do you have for long-term? You got to look at like a bucketing approach, short-term, mid-term, long-term. You have to have that all laid out. And again, so your brother just making a snap decision or a snap judgment, oh, you got too much sitting in cash. How do you know that? It's just different for everybody.
Yeah. So it might not really be that bad, but it could be some adjustments that could take place that would make you in a better position, a stronger position moving forward. But again, it all depends on kind of where that cash is. There's emotional factors. There's a lot that goes into determining exactly the answer to that question. So sit down with Black Oak Asset Management if you have a question like this or any other financial related question that you kind of want to work through, or kind of curious about planning needs or what retirement could look like, expenses that you maybe haven't prepared for. All these things are part of the process of Black Oak, and it all begins by setting up time with Ryan at speakwithryan.com. That'll do it for us here on another episode of Perfect Game Retirement. We appreciate you being with us. Please subscribe if you haven't done that already. We appreciate that support. Leave a comment as well if you have a question for Ryan. We're back again soon with another video. Ryan, have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Take care.